Hi everyone, my name is Jun Guo, VP of AI and ML at Athos Therapeutics. Today I'd like to show you how our platform help us accelerate the drug discovery from concept to clinical trial phase 1 in just 3.5 years. As you may know, decision-making life sciences are vital at many different levels, from doctors, hospitals, companies, all the way to government. One famous example is Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis, who made a decision that doctors should wash their hands in 1840 in a Vienna hospital. And this decision alone reduced the maternal death rate from 10% down to 0, saving hundreds of lives of newborns and their mothers in just a couple of months. So how did Dr. Semmelweis make such a decision? He didn't just randomly guess it and just say, oh, now it is a good time for doctors to wash their hands. That's definitely not the case. He closely observed his colleagues' behavior for several months and collected data about their behaviors. So nowadays, we have way more data than Dr. Semmelweis' era. And it is much, much faster, much easier to collect, curate, and put these data together. But raw data alone cannot give us much because it's already exceeding the speed of us reading all of these raw information, right? So it's better to be surfaced by these raw data and then information feed to human decision makers. This way, we could make key decisions based on the data. So what kind of data are we talking about in life sciences? We're talking about omics data. If you haven't heard about omics data are molecular level information about all the living organism system, not just in human beings, in other organisms as well, right? So for example, genomics is the totality of all the genes about us, the blueprints of all of us. And transcriptomics corresponds to the totality of transferring information from genes to proteins. And proteomics corresponds to the molecules that make us healthy or sick. So why are these data so important? These data are not like images or text where you can just read and analyze easily. These data are important because they are molecular level information. They could provide information we could never see. These data has to be interpreted by machines and also the tools that would help us to be able to understand. And with the tools that we can comprehend the biological system at a molecular level information. And these data does not only exist in pharmaceutical companies we only use this for drug discovery. It's not the case. I just heard a talk very interesting about in agriculture, they use omics data to improve crop yields. They develop mechanisms to make these crops resistant to certain worms or to certain weather conditions. And in food industry as well, researchers use these omics data to do nutritional profiling to make sure that these food are safe and provides enough nutrition for consumers. But there's one issue. The issue is currently for these omics data analysis, the tools are very, very fragmented. The data scattered all over the place on your laptop, workstations, on the cloud. So the tools are also very, very tough to be set up, whether it is in your local machines or on the cloud. And you can see it takes a whole team with different backgrounds. You need engineers to set up the infrastructures. You need bioinformaticians to be able to understand what are these data mean, right? So even for a small data set, it will take easily 2 weeks to set it up. And we felt the pain when we were working on our drug discovery process. So how did we solve these problems? we built a new system with several core services, with data services, compute services, and AI services. With these services, you don't need to have these like, oh, I need to have a degree in bioinformatics. That's definitely not the case anymore. So no coding skills needed, and it is very, very user-friendly for both experts and non-expert users. And you don't need to worry about infrastructure anymore. Oh, how many like GPU should I put it there, right? Provisioning, things like that. We already have the auto scaling mechanism to help you based on the size of your data, and we can automatically scale these infrastructures for you. Okay, cool. Yeah, we build these core services. What kind you might ask? Oh, what kind of omics analysis can your platform provide? Based on the services I just mentioned, we built 3 different apps: EOS for genomics analysis, RIA for transcriptomics analysis. For each of these apps, we can provide the corresponding molecular level information. But what if we wanted to combine some of these omes and to answer in a more accurate way to certain questions? Dion is the one to choose. I'll talk more about that. And it is the AI engine that help us to discover patient subtypes. So you might wonder, oh, you mentioned like the manual process is very, very slow. What about your performance, right? We're at GTC, we all use GPUs to process data or train AI agents. So you can see the manual process, it takes a long time, it's easily several hours for data pipelines, for workflow pipelines, for scientific validation pipelines. And total hour could be easily 1 week or more. This is not even the big data. And you can see, use RIA GPU version, it's easily like 30, 40 times faster, right? From 1 week down to 4 hours. And you can see the contrast between the cost as well, right? So manual process, you need to hire different teams, and it costs that much. That does not even count the salary part. And for use our GPU version, it's like 25 times cheap. Okay, that's great. And like I mentioned about the acceleration, but what about other parts of drug discovery process? I mentioned like, oh, our platform can help with other key decision makings during the process. So now let's take a closer look at the drug discovery specifically. So the problem with the current drug is it expects one treatment to fit all patients. Well, it's not, right? We all heard cases or experienced it where these generic drugs doesn't work or having severe side effects, right? So that's why we need a totally different way of coming up with drugs. We need precision medicine. So what is precision medicine? Precision medicine is designed for a specific small group of patients. And you can see in the picture that these drugs are specifically designed for these small group of people. And this way, the efficacy will be much, much higher and the low toxicity as well. So now let's take a look at, oh, what did we do at Athos specifically? So we collect these biosample data, like meaning tissues, blood, or stool, and also clinical trial data as well. So for these biosamples, they're in physical form, right? We need to use those, we need to first of all, sequence them, and then convert these data into the digital version. So the apps I mentioned, EOS, RIA, and future apps that we want to build around other omes will be used to process them into the digital version, curate them, and make sure that we have diverse and fair data to train to our AI engines. So you see with these omes that we can now use our Dion app to subgroup these patients into smaller groups. And these group of patients, they share molecular level similarities. And these similarities helps our medicinal chemists to design certain drugs only for these smaller group of patients. So this way, like I mentioned in the previous slides, it will be much, much more effective than the generic drugs. So now let's take a look how much data we collected, how many patient data we're being trained. So you can see we collected more than 30,000 patients' data across 9 autoimmune diseases. And we applied our apps across these 9 autoimmune diseases, and we found 10 targets. We successfully finished clinical trial phase 1 and entering clinical trial phase 2. And only took us 3.5 years, which is unheard of in pharmaceutical industry. And the other 2 candidates about to enter clinical trial phase 1 as well. And these I mentioned, the platform not only help us accelerate the data processing AI training, but it help us with key decision making as well. And you can see, like usually typically for big pharmaceutical companies, it takes them like 6 to 7 years for drug discovery and preclinical trial development, and only took us 3 to 3.5 years. And it costs us a fraction of what they cost, with much higher efficacy with these compounds. And of course, one of the reasons that we can do this is because of our amazing partners of Vultr. And you can see, like everyone else at the very beginning, we started with on-premise servers and we collected data, we trained these agents, but with more and more data, more and more requirements on computational requirements, we cannot do it anymore. Like you heard from Jensen, everything is power limited, that we had power outages, we had like limited capabilities of providing like powering these workstations, machine servers. So that's why we did a pilot study with Vultr, and for several months, and they provide excellent engineering support to help us to figure out the problems. And it has been almost like over 1 year, and we had 0 issue toward this. To summarize, yeah, with our amazing partner Vultr, that we built an AI platform, help us to accelerate the data processing, build AI engines, and these lessons that we learned can be applied to other industries as well, not just in pharmaceutical industries, agriculture, food industry, brewery, and maybe skincare. All of these industries, as long as you also use omics data, and our platform can be applied to. And with that, I thank you for your attention. Thank you.